Welcome to Whisper, the Contingent Workforce podcast that will feature leaders who may not have the loudest voice in the industry, but whose perspectives are sharp, grounded in real world experience, and committed to humanizing the industry. I'm your host, Mickey Pelletier. To learn a little bit more about the show, I'm going to kick it over to Manish to get a little bit more details on the background of this podcast. Manish?
Thank you to the audience who continue to show immense love, curiosity, and excitement for Whisperer. Hello, everyone. My name is Manish Senta. I am founder and global CEO for TechWise, and I'm really excited to have another amazing guest with Marriott, Amy Geiger. Amy brings an amazing perspective of managing a giant that has immense complexity, but at the same time, customer is at the core of what they do. Everything that they approach is about how they service their customer. And if you remember from the first two episodes, the purpose of starting Whisperer is to really elevate our industry. Talent acquisition is a business which is a business function that contributes to business growth, business adoption, business expansion. So I'm thrilled that we have a guest who represents a brand that is also focused on elevating the hospitality industry, creating experience, creating memories, teaching them how to use the platform so that they can really walk away from so many beautiful memories. Amy, Matt, and Mickey are going to have an amazing conversation. I cannot wait for the audience to enjoy this, but at the same time, I would continue to emphasize to my audience, give us feedback. Tell us what appeals to you, what stuck with you, and why did it stick with you? I would love to have that feedback, but please enjoy the episode and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. And joining me in hosting this show is Matt Fringley. Matt, why don't you say hello to everyone?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Mickey, great to be here with you as always, and looking forward to our episode with Amy.
Thanks, Matt. Today we do have Amy Geiger, our guest. Amy, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, your role, and your background in the contingent workforce industry?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Amy Geiger. I'm with Marriott International. I have been in my current role overseeing the contingent workforce program for about 4 years now. Prior to coming to Marriott, I was on the supplier side in the AOR and EOR space for about 6 years. And prior to that, I actually worked in hotels. So I have both sides of the experience and working that to manage our current Flex Talent Solutions branded contingent workforce program at corporate headquarters at Marriott today.
Full circle. That's funny. You worked in hotels. Now you're on the other side of it. That's interesting. I didn't know that about you. But one thing I've always enjoyed about you, Amy, is you're very passionate about the contingent workforce space. Always up for a conversation on it. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you based on your deep experience and just the opinions that you have, which are always great to listen to. I want to hit you with a quick icebreaker here. Is there a particular industry accomplishment that you are most proud of?
So it's funny you mentioned the passion because I didn't think I'd end up being passionate about staffing industry, but we all kind of slide into that somehow. And I think that the thing that I recently learned or something somebody pointed out to me recently was that a lot of people that I've worked with on teams that I've managed in the past, and gosh, it's been 10 years now of doing this, they've gone on to continue roles in the industry and not just one or two, but 10, 15 people that I've, had the pleasure of managing in the past have gone on to work for VMS, MSP on the buyer side. I brought a couple with me to the buyer side here at Marriott and, the team that I'm responsible for and working with here and now. And that's a big team as well. So I think part of what I'm really focused on is not just getting people to understand what they do for the company that they work for, but how it has a broader influence and how connected this industry is and how gratifying it can be to be part of a broader conversation and a bigger picture. And so I carried that pride with me in the people, but it did sort of resonate with me like, wow, yeah, my influence is everywhere. I hope that's a good thing. I hope that I'm, sending out, good influential flag carrying like contingent workforce soldiers out there. But I'm glad that my passion is catching on.
Absolutely, that's a positive thing. I mean, I think it's a space that most people go into it, they don't leave because of the way they feel about it. And I think if you're able to encourage that in other, that's certainly a really positive thing. That yeah, I would be very proud of that as well.
Yeah, and we at Marriott, honestly, it's a Kool-Aid drinking company, and for good reason. Like, extremely proud to work here. Would sing its praises all day long, and the way that we come together as a community for such a large global company. But I think that I really try to influence the people that work around me to think about the broader impact and hopefully carry that with them no matter what role they're in. Because if they shift over into another HR function, they go to benefits or compensation, they work in technology, just because other industries may not be as connected as we tend to be, and I do get the sense that that's not always the case, you can go out, you should have conversations with like-minded individuals at other companies who are doing similar work and see if that can be contagious in its own way beyond staffing. So I think it's a good like life lesson for everyone to carry with them no matter where their career journey takes them, if it's outside of staffing at some point.
Yeah, I was going to comment too that, I mean, work is so much more than just what you come in and do 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever hours you work. It is about the human connections and the jobs or the positions I've had that have been most rewarding over the years, like you say, have allowed me to interact and work with people who I've learned from and been inspired from, and hopefully as well along the way, I've also helped inspire others and create some legacy. So I think it's fantastic that you shared that experience about why you've enjoyed it so much over these handful of I say handful, but I think we've all been in the industry for a long time now, longer than we probably like to admit. But it's great to see that, and as you say, it's also great that you know that these other folks that you've worked with in the past, whether they've gone on to other roles within Marriott, outside of Marriott, or even in roles that you worked with prior to joining there, you still have those connections with, and you still see them, and there's still some recognition that they may say to you, "Hey, Amy, thanks so much for everything you did when we worked together." It just says a lot about how you approach people and how you view the work as more than just the work.
Gotta love showing up to work. You gotta like the people, you gotta like the content, you gotta have a little fire, a little passion. You spend too much time doing work, right? So to not feel
Exactly.
like you're doing something worth doing, work worth doing. I say that to my team all the time, guys. This is work worth doing. Uh, that would be really challenging. So
Completely agree. And I think actually it's a good segue into the next question that we have for you, which is from your experience, what are some of the positive impacts that contingent workers or even the staffing providers have brought to your organization that might have gone unnoticed?
yes, I could go on for a while about this, but I'll try to condense my thoughts into a couple of quick thoughts. I think in general, um, contractors, people who are coming in for a short-term basis, bring a new energy, they bring perspective, they bring history, and they can share lived experiences, and they tend to have a more diverse perspective and um, can really infuse that. And if you have a collection of contractors within a team, it can really bring and infuse some new energy. I think it's important. I think there's always that like carrot that organizations leave out there of this idea of like, this may convert to a permanent role at some point, and that's fine. I think where we may do better as enterprise buyers is to be more prescriptive and like, you're here to do a project and we hope you crush it on this project. You're here for, this duration of time. Bring all your energy, your experience, your influence, and help us to, get this work done. And then ultimately the more permanent arrangement would be that we try to deploy you again, and we'd love to, keep you or rotate you. And so, and that's something that kind of gets mixed up on the contractor side. There's always that, like, I really hope I get converted. I'm like, no, but you're great at what you do. You bring something unique to this situation. We do a lot of light industrial. We have a lot of boots on the ground in our hotels and temporary staffing. And I would say that brick and mortar offices where applications happen and meet and greets, where an office manager can put eyes on a candidate that may get screened out because on paper they might not check all the boxes, but they walk into the office and they just light up the room. And you go, we as a large enterprise organization that has to rely on technology to do a lot of our screening, you have to have a resume and an assessment, but you miss that initial human interaction that unless you pick up the phone to screen them, you may not find that diamond in the rough candidate. And I think that our staffing providers are really good at finding some of those overlooked candidates that would actually make a great fit for our culture, and having them work in our hotels and represent the brand through a third party. I think that that's one of the biggest opportunities and one of the biggest success stories that we see. And, shout out to our hospitality vendors, because they are doing the hardest work in, showing up every day and rallying a team around, doing some really incredible jobs and incredible work every single day.
I think it's a great perspective. And it's a theme, Mickey, that we actually heard with another guest on a previous episode, talking about the diamond in the rough, or the overlooked worker that may not on paper have all the skills and all the things that you would say, oh, we have to have for this role. But once you meet the individual, have the conversation, you realize that that person's energy, charisma, enthusiasm, all the things that they can bring to the table is something you can, you can't teach that kind of aspect of to personality. If someone brings that, then you can teach them the other components of a job. And the fact that you're calling out the staffing providers who are doing a great job at finding some of those candidates for you beyond what you may traditionally look for is fantastic to hear.
It's a unique thing within our industry. That diamond in the rough type thing, I think goes sort of underrepresented or doesn't get discussed enough, because we always talk about